Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first virtual Neely-Kinyon Organic Field Day. We're sorry you can't be with us, but school regulations say that we should keep everybody at a safe distance watching it online till this COVID pandemic is over. Earlier during this field day, we're going to show you some earlier shots of the same field. This is our organic soybeans. And here they are in August 20th, and the bean pods are loaded up very well. The corn behind us, the organic corn, looks really good. And this is pretty amazing because it's been a very, very dry year out here. So we're very grateful that it looks like we're going to have good yields. And we're also very grateful we didn't get hit by the derecho very badly. Some pepper plants got hit, but overall the corn and soybeans are fine after the storm. However, they're probably going to suffer, yields are going to suffer a little bit from the dry weather. So in this field day, we're going to do an overview of this long-term agroecological research site, the LTAR, and embedded in that is going to be discussion on oat varieties from one of our area farmers, Ron Roseman. And then we'll take you to the organic vegetable long-term rotation study and show some organic no-till plots. And we'll also show you a little bit of our organic grapes. So enjoy the field day. We are here at the Neely-Kinyon farm in the LTAR, long-term agroecological research experiment. It's been going on for 23 years here, comparing organic versus conventional corn, soybean, oats, and alfalfa. Here we are in the organic soybean field. It's July 16th, and you can see an excellent job of weed management. If you look in the row, you can see the weeds are really well taken care of. That's a result of 2 rotary hoeings when the beans were small. And then if you look in between the rows, you can see an excellent job with row cultivation. And that's from 2 row cultivations to date. We could theoretically get 1 more cultivation in before the beans fully canopy, but we'll wait and see. We finally got some rain, which we've been waiting for 3 weeks, so we're going to wait and see how it dries out before we cultivate again. You can see a little bit of beetle damage, some eating of the leaf, but not much. You would need 1/3 of that leaf consumed by any insect before you'd see a reduction in yield. So we're in good shape, and we'll continue to monitor it. Now let's move to the conventional soybeans. Okay, here we are in the conventional soybeans, which we compare with the organic ones I just showed you. And these are a lot smaller, which we typically see. In the end, the yields are pretty similar statistically, but early on, for example, these are averaging about 22 inches high on July 16th, while the organic was about 28 inches higher. And there was a lot more filling in of the canopy in the organic, shown in the last shot compared to here. Even though these are sprayed with herbicides according to ISU recommendations, we still see some resistance, herbicide resistance out here. And there's some mare's tail out there too that is particularly resistant to herbicides. So that's a growing issue in Iowa, and a lot of folks are taking to cultivating, as was done here, even in conventional systems, to help manage herbicide resistance. Now we'll move to the organic corn plots. Okay, here we are in the organic corn, and this corn was planted May 31st, so it's about 6 weeks old. It's just getting ready to tassel, and again, just like the soybeans, had 2 rotary hoeings and 2 row cultivations. So if you look in between the row, or sorry, if you look in the row, you can see the cultivation was pretty good. And then if you look between the rows, you can see there are some weeds in there, but looking good overall. And of course, corn, when it forms its large canopy, that shades out a lot of weeds. So I think we're in good shape for this corn crop as long as we keep getting sufficient rain. And the conventional corn looks pretty similar to the organic, so we're going to skip that and move to the organic oats. And here we are in the organic oat plots, and we're getting ready to harvest these. It's July 16th, so they're about ready to be harvested. If you open up the heads on them and look at the kernels inside, you can see that they're very hard at this stage. So they're ready to be harvested, should be taken off soon. There's no weed management with oats. You just plant them in a high enough rate and close enough that you shade out all the weeds. You can see there's some weeds down in there, but the main thing is not having a lot coming up over the canopy. And in this case, fields look really good this year, so we're hoping for a good oat crop. You want to get oats that weigh at least 32 pounds per bushel. It's kind of hard to get when you've had a lot of rain, because that can affect the photosynthesis, and disease usually kicks in with a lot of rain. This year we haven't had a lot of rain, so maybe we'll be able to make a good oat weight this year. So we'll let you know about that. All right, we're here with Ron Roseman, organic farmer, Harlan, Iowa. Ron, can you tell us about the oat trial you did this year?
Yeah, sure, Kathleen. I actually did 2 trials with Practical Farmers of Iowa. The first one is the 2 buckets I have in front of me here. It's a comparison of the variety that the experimental station says should be the best variety for your area geographically. And the other one is what I think is the best variety for the area. And it's kind of interesting, I picked Dion's, which is a yellow oat, and then found out that they selected Minnesota Pearl, which is a new one, which is the equivalent of Dion's, but it's a white oat. That's what they call the white oat equivalent to Dion. So interestingly, both did very, very well. Both were right at around 125 bushel an acre. There was only, I think, something like less than a half a bushel difference between the 2. The test weight, there was some difference. Let's see, the Dion's had a 35-pound test weight, and the Minnesota Pearl was at 36.1. But I was very happy with both of them because no disease this year. Very little rain, but the rains we had were very timely. So then I got another variety. I just did another variety trial just because I thought, well, if I'm doing one, I just well do 2. And because we take oats quite seriously, because we had 65 acres this year of oats and 27 acres of hybrid rye, which did 90 bushels an acre. And then we have over 35 acres of succotash, where we include field peas with the oats, wheat, and barley. And we're just starting to combine that today. But anyway, this other trial is between a new variety that was recommended called Rains, right here, and it actually yielded 131 bushels an acre, and we were totally amazed because it was the shortest oat and the foxtail was the tallest. And so I figured, well, this is going to be the worst oat, but after looking at it closely, there were a lot more seed heads on it than any other variety. So we're definitely going to keep it.
And this is the alfalfa, which is the fourth crop in the organic rotation: corn, soybean, oats, alfalfa. And this crop was started 2 years ago. It was planted with oats. The oats were taken off. The alfalfa was allowed to grow back for the first year. And then now this is second year alfalfa. And this was just cut 2 weeks ago, so it's still rather small. This is the second cut of the season. We normally have 3 to 4 cuts per season, and we average about 3 to 4 tons per acre. If it's drier, it's going to be 3 or lower. If we have decent rains, we always get 4 tons per acre. So when it's dry, you need to look, survey, make sure you're not having any leafhopper issues. Ours looks pretty good. Cutting does help with leafhoppers. Using a resistant variety, leafhopper resistant variety, will help too. What you look for is what's called hopper burn, brown edges on the leaves, to see how bad the leafhopper is. It generally doesn't require any treatment in organic. Like I said, mowing will help decrease it. So keeping it healthy, keeping it growing, and using a resistant variety should take care of leafhopper problems. Hello, this is the organic no-till version of the virtual field day, and what I'm showing here is the rye and hairy vetch. You can only see a little bit of hairy vetch left at this time, that we planted last fall for the no-till vegetable experiment. The hairy vetch was planted at 35 pounds per acre. The rye was planted at 2 bushels per acre, and we planted it in October, and then we rolled it at the end of May and transplanted the vegetables into it in June. But I just wanted to show you this. We left a couple plots out here to show what it should and shouldn't look like. You want it a little thicker than this, actually, because if you look down in there, you can see some green, some weeds. So ideally, you don't see any weeds coming through your rye cover crop. You can learn a lot by reading this book about growing cover crops by USDA SARE. And what you do to determine if you have enough biomass is you cut a square foot of your cover crop and you dry it, and then you weigh it. So for example, ours weighed 0.17 pounds per square foot. Multiply that by 43,560 square feet per acre, comes out to 7,405 pounds of biomass from the cover crop per acre. That's a good deal. You want at least 5,000. Ideally 7 to 10,000 is better, so you'll have a thicker mat when you roll that cover crop down with no weeds coming through. So that's the cover crop, and we'll go on to show you the actual vegetables next. So now we're at the end of the season in the organic no-till vegetable plots, and we'll look at the squash first, then the peppers. So you can see here, squash is coming on. It's putting on some size. We won't pick it until it's about a couple more weeks from now. We want to hopefully get a little more size to it, and then we'll let all these leaves dry down before we pick it. And if you dig down in there, you can see some of the mulch from the no-till from earlier this season, the rye that was rolled over. It's now pretty well degraded, but it did a pretty decent job of keeping the weeds out for the season, and that's what you want. It does look a little weedy, but it's the end of the season, so we expect that. The main thing is to have that good mulch layer there at the beginning of the season for the first 6 weeks when you're getting the most growth to keep the crop going. And then after we harvest, we will cure these. We'll take them off and we'll put them in the barn for about a week so that they'll set up really well, and we'll be able to store them for the winter. So now we are in the no-till organic peppers, and you can see a little more of the mulch layer here right around the plants, but further out it's degraded a lot, and that's when the weeds move in. But again, the main thing is to have a good mulch layer at the start of the season. So you can see there are a lot of peppers on there, and this will be our second picking. So we've been picking now for about 3 weeks, and hope to get at least one more picking of these. We had a derecho come through here, so it knocked a couple of them out of the ground. You can see here, leaning sideways, but still alive. So we're going to let them go, and once we finish harvesting, we'll be done for the season. But we'll come in and put another cover crop of hairy vetch and rye in this plot that will protect the soil for the winter and get ready to roll it again next spring and start the experiment all over again next spring. Okay, now we're going to move to the organic grapes here at Neely-Kinyon Farm, and I'm going to show you how to put on nets to protect it from birds and other creatures. However, the ones you see here are a little past where I would recommend putting the nets on. You want to put the nets on at the very first time the grapes start turning purple, which is called veraison. These are a little past, but we wanted to do them all together, and some of the other varieties we have are still green. So we're going to go ahead and net them, and I'll show you that now.
Here we go.
So now we're setting the nets. So you need at least 2 people to do it. Helps if you have more on a windy day. Try not to do it on a windy day, but if that's all you have, like out here in Greenfield, it's always windy. Just work together to put the net over. Try to get it in the middle, so you have equal amounts on either side. And then once it's over the whole line of the row, you can start to pin it down. So we'll show you the pinning here in a minute. Okay, once you have the net set with equal netting on either side of your vine row, then you'll start the job of staking it and clipping it to make it secure so the birds won't be able to get into it. So we're using clips, like regular landscape cloth pins, to stick it in the ground to tack it down, and then moving down the line, stake it again, and you'll just continue doing that through the whole row and clipping up any pieces that happen to be dangling in the wind, because you want it very tight so the birds can't find their way underneath or through any openings in the net.